Well, I have nothing to start to say. Let's get this underway. This is another spar. As you can see, we're starting now, as always. Now, today we're sparring Juan, one of my favorite sparring partners. As you can see, comes in with that, style where he's just pressing forward, that Mexican style of boxing. And I am trying to stay disciplined, make sure I don't open myself up that much, keep the lane occupied, because really, he has a really, really good punch. Like, he's pretty strong. So I need to make sure I don't get hit with as much as possible, because if I let myself get hit, that's CTE right there. This man has that power in his hands. So I'm keeping that long base, making sure I'm able to react as quickly as possible and give myself as much time as possible. But anyway, as you can see, we're continuing on. This first round I was focusing on keeping the lane occupied with my jab, just to stop him from throwing out the gate. I was also trying to implement just a bit of flickers, but it is what it is. In doing so, those flickers, my lead hand goes down. I call him with a straight there. But yeah, I don't know what the risk is considering how far I am, but it is what it is. I think I'm gonna find out with time. Anyway, as you can see, right, I go for a check hook, I miss, he goes in for those hooks. I catch him with a cross. Now that came off a headbutt, so I actually apologize there. Anyway, I'm trying to stay actually in range a lot more. Like, if you've seen my other spars, the evolution, right, is before I would stay super, super far out of range and hop all the way away where I can't counter at all. So, it's getting more important to stay in the pocket. Round 2 starting off. Is running out the gate. Gotta love the energy. Anyway, in this round, I was trying to implement a Twitcher style, give him a different look. He caught me there with that big overhand. That's something I need to keep in mind. And guess what? He caught me there again. Yeah, I just need to make sure I glue my hands better to my face. I mean, normally I stay pretty disciplined with the left hand, but it's the lead hand that, I have to worry about a bit. Anyway, continuing on with those body jabs. And, this is what I'm talking about. It's hopping back way too far away. If I just leaned back very, very slightly, I would have been able to land something. But, Juan was able to see through it because I dashed back in and it took way too much time. And as you can see, Juan's cornering me right now. He's doing really well. He always does really well pressuring me, so I gotta find my own tools to, intercept that. There you go. As you can see, Juan walking me down. Hitting me with a jab there. And, it's important that I know my range just because I'm super, super long compared to him. So I need to make sure I stay out of his range while just barely staying in mine. Anyway, as you can see, I land a straight in there down the middle. I go for that overhand. It barely lands. It's another tool that I want to add slightly more to my arsenal. The double cross. I just barely get out of the way of that devastating hook in time. I'm trying to go back to, bouncing on my feet a bit. I'm way too telegraphed. As you can see, he has really good head movement. Like, that's not just me being telegraphed. He's able to, he's very athletic. And then the slight cross there, I probably could have added more power to that one. But hey, that's the end of the round. Round 3, y'all. Here we go. Underway. As you can see, we started out, just crouching again. I was doing the usual. Is that 1-2? Keeping the jab hand out there again, just in the lane. And coach actually told me in the corner, implement a bit more of my head movement. If you know that Cobra maneuver, or not Cobra maneuver, but Cobra move. Sorry, I watch a lot of aviation videos, but if you know that Cobra punch, in that one viral video of that one guy doing that Cobra punch, I'm sure I'll pull it up here, but where he's doing that head movement and it kind of hypnotizes the other guy, that's what coach has me kind of pull off, in a sense. I was doing good with it, and then I completely abandoned it. Why? I have no idea. I kind of reverted because I was getting tired, and then, Juan was able to capitalize a whole bunch here. Like, he caught me with a mean hook, and, had me kind of stunned a bit, so I had to regroup and do what I do as always. That uppercut. As you can see, I'm keeping that lead hand super low. That's not something you want to be doing in the long run. But, you know, it is what it is. I think I'm still pretty early on into my journey. But, I mean, we're getting up there. As you can see, he does some Ipo maneuver, and it actually gets him on the inside. He clocks me with the hook right there. I try and go for a hook of my own, and the barrage, and, you know, I don't really get anything through, but that left hook comes around the guard, and, you know, I get hit by it. So, you know, all that barraging was for basically nothing. I mean, that overhand landed slightly well. I guess it's something, you know, that I do, not on purpose, but, you know, we'll get into it in the next round. Round 4, you know, I guess, as I was saying, I guess it's something I do where basically I try and lull them to a sense of security and then hit them over the top with the left hand, just because, you know, that lead hand, it's got barely any power behind it, right? Like, sometimes I go for a stinging jab, but most of the time it's kind of just in your face, kind of slapping you with, like, no power at all. I'm just going, and then, wha-bam! But, you know, that's kind of my strat. He clocks me with a great right hook there, and that's, you know, what cements the left uppercut for me. High risk, high reward move. You know, I may need to find a better way to set it up. As you can see, continuing on, I go for another body jab, and then an uppercut, which lands very well, but, you know, that right hook almost found its mark. So, you know, even though I got that uppercut in, I gotta be very, very wary. Anyway, great slips by Juan. Always love his head movement, you know.
Minute left, man.
My left cross is getting super, super telegraphed. So he could see through it pretty well in this last moment. I get a good uppercut in there. And then there's that kind of like Prince Nassim lead swivel punch that coach has me practice. And there's another cross which Juan slips, and the overhand, followed by me using the force to keep him off of me. I go for a check hook. This is the last 30 seconds. I go under and kind of turtle a bit. If you watch VR boxing, you would know what that is. Anyway, I'm pulling away, you know, just trying to make sure I don't get hurt. Get a good overhand in there. And, you know, here he comes with that barrage. I barely land, but he gets the better of me in that exchange overall. And, you know, coming up on the end, that's about it. Alright guys, as you already know, with my spars comes statistics, so it is time for statistics. Let's go. Starting out with me, round 1, I threw 45, landed 11, and had a 24.44% of landing. Round 2, I threw 50, landed 17, and had a 34% of landing. Round 3, I threw 43, landed 15, and had a 34.88% of landing. And in round 4, final round, I threw 46, landed 15, and had a 32.61% of landing. So overall today, I threw 184, landed 58, and had a 31.52% of landing. So what does this mean for me, guys? I mean, I didn't land as much as I normally do today, and I think I'm going to chalk that up to Juan's head movement. You know, it was pretty good today. That overhand was landing rather well for me today, although I only threw 3 of them, so, you know, something to be desired there. Threw 8 uppercuts and 2 of them landed. So, you know, I mean, those 2 uppercuts landed rather well, I'd say. But overall, all in all, I was able to do what I wanted to do, and, you know, I got my work in. Now going to Juan. Round 1, he threw 8, landed 3, and had a 37.5% of landing. Round 2, he threw 18, landed 8, and had a 44.44% of landing. Round 3, he threw 26, landed 9, and had a 34.62% of landing. And in round 4, he threw 28, landed 12, and had a 42.86% of landing. So final stats, he threw 80, landed 32, and had a 40% of landing. So, you know, all in all, he did pretty good today. His head movement was, you know, I think it took the show over the amount of punches that he threw. And, you know, he actually landed about 10% more than I did. So, you know, that's something pretty awesome. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. You know, I had a pretty good spar. It was 4 rounds all in all. It was pretty good. Anyway, I'm Kobe Gaza. Please subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.